It's 8:30. Good morning, I'm Ian Crouch with Hunter News. The search continues for a third man involved in an attempted armed hold-up at Cardiff last night. It's alleged two men armed with a sledgehammer and a knife entered the Iron Horse Inn on Main Road at about 20 to 12 and threatened a worker, but were unable to get cash from the safe and fled when police arrived. Joanne Elliott from Police Headquarters says officers caught up with the pair a short time later.
They were taken to Toronto Police Station. They've been charged now with assault with intent to rob while armed with an offensive weapon. They're both due to appear in Toronto local court later today, and police are still looking for a third person. So anyone with information about that third person needs to ring Crime Stoppers 1800 333 000.
The sole MP for the Animal Justice Party has indicated he'll side with the state government's light rail plans for Newcastle if a few conditions are met. Mark Pearson says he'd vote in favour of the plans, giving the Premier one of the two crucial votes he needs from outside his own party for the measures to pass through Parliament. However, the Herald reports Mark Pearson is still to hold discussions with Save Our Rail. New South Wales Fines Administration Commissioner Tony Newbery says hunter drivers who've committed a traffic offence should be careful with how they fight it. Motorists who falsely claim they weren't responsible for the offence or accept false responsibility on behalf of another could face fines of more than $600 and could potentially be called before a court. Tony Newbery says while most people follow the rules, false claims are common.
Every year we receive around 200,000 nominations. Most of them are legitimate. However, we do have a look at them, and those that don't, we then take them a little bit further. Most people do the right thing and actually nominate correctly. There is a small proportion who try to avoid demerit points by nominating someone who actually wasn't the driver.
There's more development earmarked for Newcastle's East End. The former Community Justice Centre at the corner of Church and Bolton Streets is set to be converted into apartments. Plans for the $8.3 million development will get underway once the courthouse vacates the building later this year. 27 2- and 3-bedroom apartments will be built, while the heritage-listed part of the block will be housing an art gallery. Civic Theatre is set to host the 60th annual Newcastle Combined Schools Anzac service this morning. The service, which begins at 10 o'clock, was postponed from its original date due to severe weather. Director Michelle Gosper says it's important to acknowledge all people who served in World War I.
This year's service is looking at the World War I Australian Army nurses. You know, it's not just soldiers who give a lot, who sacrifice. It's looking at their experiences and the hardships that they faced. A lot of them got very sick themselves with dysentery and other illnesses. It was a tough time.
And April was the wettest in the Hunter for more than 100 years. Some parts of the region received 7 times the average rainfall. Nobby's Headland notched up some of the highest rainfall on record, with 295 millimetres for April, with 160 millimetres falling over the 2 days of the storms from last month's East Coast low. Now with sport, Belinda Delaceres.
Newcastle Knights captain Kurt Gidley insists the premiership is still in his sights despite plans to part ways with the club at the end of the season. The 32-year-old's confirmed he'll spend his final year on the field in England, teaming up with Super League giants the Warrington Wolves in 2016. He says there'll be mixed emotions.
Very excited, sad when I come to the realisation that this will be my last year at the Newcastle Knights, but I just really want to make the most of all the little things that probably taken for granted.
Meanwhile, Knights CEO Matt Gidley has joined in the praises of his brother's NRL career, including 12 Origins, 12 Test caps and an extraordinary 15 years with the Red and Blue. He says it's a mark of Kurt's impact on the game.
He's been around the club, been around dressing rooms at this club since he was 13. And he just kept hanging in there and working hard and competing hard. It's about resilience and tenacity. He's had a great career.
And there's a new face on board the Maitland Magpies, with former Socceroo Matt Thompson appointed head coach for the remainder of the National Premier League season. That's sport. I'm Belinda Delaceres.
To NURFM News Time 26 to 9.